I'm going to just, for any of you that aren't familiar with Skype meeting, in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, there's a little chat box, and if you click that, you'll open up the instant message conversation, and you're welcome to use that area to type questions. We will also be taking questions after the demonstration of the instrument. We're having a small little technical issue, but our application scientist will be joining us shortly. To begin with, I wanted to tell you a little bit about CID Bioscience. We have been engineering and manufacturing scientific instrumentation for over 28 years. We, our engineers and our production is all here in our facility in Camas, Washington, United States. And we're very proud to say that our instruments are being used throughout the world by researchers. Today we are going to be demonstrating the new CI-110 plant canopy imager. We have made a plant canopy imager for a number of years, but redesigned our imager to make it more user-friendly. The new design is an all-in-one ergonomic design. It has an 8-megapixel camera for higher quality images. There's both USB and Wi-Fi for data transfer. It comes with 2 sets of rechargeable batteries for a full day in the field. The battery charger also includes an adapter, a car adapter, so if you happen to be out in the field with access to a vehicle, you can use your vehicle to charge the batteries as well. What I'd like to do now is play a very short video for you of the CI-110 plant canopy imager, and then we will move on to our live demonstration. Hello and welcome back. I'm now going to turn the microphone over to Dennis Fisher, who is one of our application scientists, and he will be demonstrating the imager for us. If you have questions while he's demonstrating, You may turn on your microphone, or you can use the chat box. Again, to access the chat box, it's in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. There's a little icon for instant message. If you click on that, it'll open up the chat box and give you the opportunity to type questions.
Hello, can everybody hear me okay? All right, so just going to do a quick demonstration of the instrument, how it works in the field, and then I'm going to actually open this up to questions so that that way we can kind of get a better understanding of what you're looking for and what you'd like to see the instrument to do in your hands. First off, we've completely redesigned the CI110 when it comes from an ergonomic perspective. However, we still keep the 24 PAR sensors as well as a updated camera. And with the touch screen, you simply turn it on here. The little blue light will be telling you if it's turning on or not, and then the screen itself, if you can see, will start up with a CID Bioscience logo. Once the instrument starts up, which can take a second every now and then, what it's doing actually as it's starting up is actually getting the environmental sensors right now from the PAR sensors, as well from the camera. And it starts automatically right into the last images that you performed. Now let's make sure you can see this. As you can see, it's taken some Canopy images previously. And if we go to the right on these images, it will give you both the direct data and the calculated data on the levels over here. And also should be careful because it is also a touchscreen. To the right here, you can see that you can actually adjust certain features like the gap fraction, the thresholding of that, the resolution levels. You can actually choose the azimuthal and zenith divisions that you want measured and change it on the screen in real time. You can do the same thing with PAR LAI, Sunflex, and the image itself, where you can apply filters, contrast, and change the brightness levels. Now, when you do set this up, you can actually go down, either save it for that image specifically, or you can save it and set defaults so that every image you take after that will have those same settings. And of course, you can also delete each image or rename it. On the front, you see such things calculated as the PAR LAI, the Sunflex, and the different divisions. You also have the GPS coordinates, and also including the bearing you were at, so that if you want to go back and try to take the same image again, you need to do repeat images. It makes it a lot easier. Going back past that image, you can go to your data folder. All right. And you can choose from there to export the data. This puts it all into a CSV file on the device itself so that you have all your calculated and direct information for each one of your images on the device. You can also attach it to your Wi-Fi network and just send it directly to your computer via Wi-Fi. To use. To actually take an image, all you simply have to do is hold down this trigger button, and as you can see, it's taken a real-time live image and showing you the 24 different sensors for PAR, the PAR average, Sunflex, PAR LAI, and you can actually adjust this exposure here right now with the buttons, if you can see it. So I would just move that up, move it down, and adjust so. Once you take a picture, and when you release the trigger, it then does the calculations and saves that data for you. And then you can go back and view both the video picture and the digital version with all of the current thresholding levels. So that is the basic way that this works. I'll open it up to questions now. I can open up the mics, but it might be easier just to type out your questions. That way we'll be able to capture them all. So does anybody have any questions?
I see that we have a few people typing, Dennis.
Yep. Oh. So the length of the bar from here to here, you got to get judging by my head just alone. But the total length of the entire thing is 84 centimeters. The PR and sensor camera length, this is of 37 centimeters. And any other questions? Because I see a lot of typing going on.
And if it is easier for you, you can open your microphone and ask your question if it's easier than typing.
So the batteries are designed to last at least all day for just a rigorous, you're getting up bright and early in the morning and running around 1,000 scans, just clicking away as you run through the day. They tend to go actually a little bit longer than that, but especially if you're having the screen running and you're doing a lot of screen operations, that could drive down the battery life a little bit.
It does come with 2 sets of batteries, though.
Yep, and also I believe a car charger as well as the battery charger. That way, if you're out in the field, you can have your batteries recharging and you have the backups already ready. There's a question, can I summarize the best practices to optimize the use where devices or deployment is above the canopy, so like an air platform. We haven't actually, for the latter one, we haven't actually developed a way of deploying above canopy yet, though it would not be a very difficult activity since this can be turned upside down. Honestly, it would just take that and being held into place. You would still get similar values. You would change the thresholding a bit considering you're not getting the sun in the background, but you'll still be getting some reflected light. And so the best practices to optimize use is really just depending on the use you're looking for. So these get used already for both forest canopy imaging as well as crop imaging, as well as in some cases shrubs and smaller. So in those cases, it's just really important to know kind of the canopy leaf angles that you're already dealing with. If you want to do the calculation for that ahead of time, you can actually put that in here and decide it yourself, or allow this to decide it from the imaging data. You can also, as you're making your different images, in being able to control the zenith divisions, azimuth divisions for your calculations. That way, if you're getting too much information in your camera light, you can actually just have it, order it, actually any way you want it, by degrees, and that way you can just only calculate in a certain quadrants the data that you want. Same with thresholding. We actually have several different options, including a manual selection, your Otsu, entropy crossover, and these simply just change the way it's calculated and deciding between the different light and dark particles. The image itself, a lot of times we find that applying a blue filter, or especially in certain settings, is very often used. I would suggest that, especially if you're doing a lot of leaf canopy imaging in forest. But in some cases, I've also found certain crops they want to apply different color filters. And we actually opened it up to apply red, green, or blue, depending on the kind of like chlorophyll levels and different lights that you're looking for. Sunflex, fairly similar. We find that's a lot more useful in a very high contrast environments.
Hi, Dennis. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes. Hi, good morning. Well, we are Freddy, Natalia, and Austin. We are from Mars Inc. We work in a cocoa plantation in Ecuador. Well, we have the former model of the Canopy Measure. Well, we want to follow the Jessica questions about how to optimize the use of this tool. It means, for example, what is better for the data record? It's better when you have a sunny day or when you have a cloudy day, or it's better to take only one point from a place, or it's better to take several points and have an average, for example, from a tree. We have this question.
Oh, for that, it really depends on your application, but we have actually designed this to be acceptable sunny or cloudy. You are going to have a harder time getting a really fine resolution on a very sunny day, so I would say you want to try to avoid that. Simply, it's just going to be a lot higher contrast. You're going to get a lot better definition in between your leaves and your sun, but you're also going to get harder definition between different types of leaf and patterns there. And that's just pretty common across any leaf imaging. But this actually calculates a lot of the data and tries to account for that. So you're fairly safe either way when it comes to using this imager. And as I said, as you're looking at this and looking at the data points, say for example, you're getting some PAR sensors are getting a lot more light than others. You can kind of designate, find out what's being overloaded, where should you contrast, and it's really easy actually as you start working with it to figure all that out. And any other questions? So there's another question. I'm not using the product yet. After starting to use it, can you send questions via email? And the answer is definitely. You can send actually to myself, Susie. We actually have another application scientist here named Katrina, and she would be also helpful. I've used it at both, sorry, the question is using it solar noon, evening, afternoon. I've actually used it at all of these times, early morning, late afternoon, right actually at sundusk. The ability to change the imaging contrast and brightness even after really helps get every bit of information in the image you can. And since these are digital images coupled with the PAR sensors, all that data is retained. It's just how you're thresholding it and how you're changing it to see what you want to see. The next question is the only applicable to outdoor field projects, or is there a function to adjust for growth, room, and greenhouse work? And I would say absolutely. I personally have not used it in a greenhouse setting, but we have used it indoors, testing actually on things like our lovely bromeliad here, and getting data from that. And again, it's just about thresholding. So we know that the lights here are at a certain level. The PAR values actually are giving us that level, so we just bring the thresholds down so that it's just picking up the leaves and putting the background as background. And the next question on the PAR. I have jokes about that. Oh, fantastic. Now, I think that seems like everybody's questions right now, but if anybody has anything to follow up with, I'm happy to help anytime. We'll be sending out my email as well as Susie's email at the end of this, and happy to also give further demonstrations online or just over the phone. And it's working up to be very hot. All right, I'm going to pass this off to Susie right now.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to double check that Cristobal has asked, can it be used with rain, Dennis?
Yes.
Dennis, actually, you've got to put your microphone back on.
Yep.
There we go.
Yes, so it can be used with rain. I would avoid, of course, submersing it, but it's actually been handled quite extensively in water conditions already, thanks to being in the Pacific Northwest as we've developed the device. So yes, it can be readily used in rain.
Are there any additional questions at this time? I just sent through a link on the chat, which will allow you to request a quote for this instrument if you don't already own it. I know that a couple of people on the webinar actually have the new plant canopy imager and are just beginning to use it themselves. But for those of you who do not, that are interested in getting a quotation for the instrument, if you use that link, you can give us your information and we'd be happy to send that to you. We also, as Dennis said, are available for additional questions or kind of specific application questions for you and your application with the plant canopy imager. And I will be typing in our email addresses that you can contact us at. If you would like us to contact you, please type your email address in the chat box and we will contact you directly as well. We're happy to answer any questions that you have. And we thank you very much for joining us today. So again, I'm going to be sending through our email addresses that you can reach us. Please use the link to request a quote or send us your email and we will contact you directly. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Donald. Thank you, Cristobal. Thank you so much, everyone.